The massive communication array of the Galactic Confederation's research vessel hummed with quiet intensity. Screens flickered with data streams, holographic displays casting blue-green shadows across the control room. Most days were boring. This day would not be. Jae-sung leaned forward, his eyes fixed on a strange signal that had just appeared on the long-range scanners. He adjusted his uniform, a habit he had when something caught his attention. The signal was different, messy, loud, and completely unlike anything the Confederation had ever seen before. "Computer," he called out, "analyze the transmission from Sector 9 Gamma." The AI's smooth voice responded. "Signal origin, unknown colony designation, primary language, English, transmission type, multiple concurrent communication channels." Most species in the galaxy had neat, organized communication protocols. They would send carefully structured messages, with each word and signal precisely measured. This transmission was a mess. It was like someone had thrown 1,000 conversations into a blender and pressed mix. Jae-sung pulled up the communication logs. There were audio streams, data packets, visual recordings, and something that looked like digital noise, all jumbled together. Normal species would never communicate like this. It was chaos. One particular video caught his attention. It showed a group of humans, bipedal, pink-skinned creatures, laughing around a metal container. They were drinking something, talking over each other, gesturing wildly. No formal greetings, no diplomatic protocols, just pure, unfiltered interaction. "What are you?" Jae-sung whispered to the screen. The transmission came from a place called New Terra, a small colony on the edge of known space. The Confederation had barely noticed it before. Now, something about these humans was setting off every alarm in Jae-sung's professional instincts. He didn't know it yet, but this messy, loud transmission would be the first crack in the Galactic Confederation's perfect, ordered universe. Humanity was about to enter the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. Seok-ho stared at the holographic message, his three-fingered hand rubbing his temple. The transmission from the human colony was unlike any diplomatic communication in galactic history. It wasn't a request. It wasn't a threat. It was a challenge. "They want to compete," he muttered to himself, reading the message again. The challenge was simple but crazy. Humans proposed a series of trials that would test everything: physical strength, problem-solving, technology, and mental toughness. Each trial would push the limits of what the Confederation considered advanced civilizations. The first line of the transmission read, "Prove you're the best. We'll show you how." Most Confederation leaders laughed. Humans were a new species, barely noticed in the vast galactic records. They had no history of major achievements. Their technology was basic. Their population was small. The idea of them challenging the most advanced collective in known space seemed like a joke. But something about the message felt different. It wasn't arrogant. It wasn't angry. It was challenging. Like a kid on a playground daring someone to a contest. Seok-ho pulled up the human colony's limited records. New Terra was a small world on the galaxy's edge. Their technology was basic but creative. Their population was diverse. Their communication was messy but somehow effective. He pressed a button, sending a response. "We accept your challenge." Little did he know, those 4 words would change everything. In a small room on New Terra, a group of humans grinned. Captain Lisa Rodriguez looked at her team. "They took the bait," she said simply. The first trial would begin soon, and the Galactic Confederation had no idea what was coming. The first trial was supposed to be simple, a test of physical endurance that would quickly show the Confederation's superiority. Nobody expected what would happen next. Yoonji watched from the observation deck, her recording device capturing every moment. The trial was straightforward. Navigate a complex obstacle course designed to challenge the most advanced species in the galaxy. The Confederation had run this test hundreds of times. They knew exactly how other species would perform. The Confederation's champion stepped forward first. Krell was 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and a body engineered for perfect movement. His species had won this challenge for the last 50 galactic cycles. He looked confident, too confident. Then the human team arrived. There were 5 of them. They looked ordinary. No special muscles, no extra limbs. Just 5 humans in simple gray uniforms. The youngest looked barely out of training. The oldest was a woman with gray hair and a slight limp. The course was brutal. Massive moving platforms, walls that changed shape, gravity shifts, laser barriers, acid pools, magnetic traps. It was designed to break even the most advanced species. Krell went first. He was perfect, calculated, precise. He completed half the course with robotic efficiency. Then something unexpected happened. The human team watched. They didn't look worried. They looked like they were solving a puzzle. When the first human, a tall man named David, started the course, he moved differently. He didn't calculate. He flowed. When a platform shifted, he didn't fight it. He used its movement. When a laser barrier appeared, he didn't try to avoid it. He bent around it. It was like watching water move through a complex pipe. Eunji's recording device captured something impossible. The humans weren't just completing the course. They were playing with it. By the time David finished, the entire observation deck was silent. Krell's perfect run seemed boring, mechanical. The humans' run looked like art. Something was very wrong with the Confederation's understanding of life. Something was breaking in the Galactic Confederation, and nobody knew how to stop it. Jai-1 watched the latest trial results scroll across her screen. Another human victory, another Confederation record shattered. It wasn't just happening in one challenge, it was happening everywhere. The mental adaptation test had been a disaster. Most species approached it like a math problem. Solve, calculate, predict. The humans did something completely different. They told stories. They laughed. They used something the Confederation's best minds couldn't understand: creativity. In the communication challenge, human teams didn't just send messages. They sang. They drew pictures. They used jokes. One human team solved a complex communication problem by performing what they called a comedy sketch. The Confederation's top linguists were left confused and amazed. The technology test was even worse. Confederation teams brought perfect, clean machines. Humans brought broken things they had fixed themselves. Their technology looked messy, ugly, but it worked. Better than anything the Confederation had ever seen. "This is impossible," whispered the Confederation's lead scientist. Humans were breaking every rule, every understanding, every concept of how an advanced species should work. They didn't specialize. They adapted. They didn't predict. They responded. They didn't follow rules. They created new ones. Jai-1 realized something terrifying. The humans weren't just competing. They were changing the entire game. On screens across the galaxy, billions watched as these pink, soft creatures continued to do the impossible. A species that should have been nothing was becoming everything. The Confederation's perfect, ordered universe was falling apart, and humanity was just getting started. Panic was spreading through the Galactic Confederation. Hyunwoo sat in a small room on New Terra, watching the Confederation's next move. They were desperate, and desperate creatures make bad decisions. The first attack came through official channels. The Confederation tried to change the competition rules. They added complicated tests. They created impossible scenarios. They wanted to prove humans were cheating. But humans didn't cheat. They solved. When the Confederation blocked one communication channel, humans found 3 more. When they made a test impossible, humans made it look easy. Each attempt to stop humans made them look worse. The Confederation's political teams tried next. They spread rumors. They tried to make other species stop working with humans. They claimed humans were dangerous, unpredictable, a threat to galactic peace. But something strange happened. Other species started watching humans more closely. They saw something different. Humans weren't just competing. They were helping. In between trials, human teams were sharing knowledge, fixing other species' broken equipment, teaching problem-solving techniques. Hyum smiled. This was humanity's real strength. The Confederation's next move was more direct. They tried to sabotage human technology. They sent special agents to damage human equipment before the next trial. The night before the technology repair challenge, someone broke into the human team's workshop. They expected to find delicate, complicated machines. Instead, they found spare parts, old tools, broken things that humans had already fixed 10 different ways. When the sabotage was discovered, the human team laughed. They didn't get angry. They didn't cry. They just started solving the problem. The Confederation was fighting a war. Humans were playing a game nobody else understood. Something changed during the knowledge-sharing trial. Min Seo watched from the observation deck. She had seen many competitions, but this was different. This was something new. The trial was simple on paper. Each species would teach something important from their culture. Most species prepared complex scientific lectures, mathematical formulas, technical diagrams, precise, boring information. The human team did something else. Their first presenter was a woman named Maria. She was not a scientist. She was a school teacher from New Terra. When she stepped onto the stage, everyone expected a boring lecture. Instead, she brought a box of simple toys. Learning is not about information, Maria said. Learning is about understanding. She started playing with the toys. She showed how children from different backgrounds could solve problems together, how creativity matters more than perfect answers, how working together is more important than being the smartest. Other species watched, confused. The Confederation's experts tried to interrupt. They wanted technical details, precise measurements, exact information. Maria kept playing. She showed how a broken toy could be fixed 10 different ways, how a problem could have multiple solutions, how failure is just another way of learning. Min Seo realized something important. Humans were not just competing. They were teaching. In the next room, human children were playing with alien children. They didn't speak the same language, but they were solving puzzles, laughing, creating something new. The Confederation's perfect, ordered learning systems looked like ancient machines next to this simple play. Humans were not just a species. They were a way of thinking, and they were changing everything. The galaxy went quiet. Jae-hoon stood on the main platform, looking at the representatives from 1,000 different species. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The competition was over, and everything had changed. Humans had not just won. They had transformed the entire concept of winning. The final scores didn't matter anymore. What mattered was how humans had approached each challenge. They didn't compete to beat others. They competed to learn, to grow, to help. During the last trial, human teams had started helping other struggling teams. When an alien species couldn't solve a problem, humans didn't celebrate. They helped. They shared their thinking. They made everyone better. "We are not here to be the best," Jae-hoon said simply. "We are here to make everyone better." The Confederation's leaders looked confused. Their entire system was based on being the top, on being perfect, on showing how great they were. Humans were different. They showed weakness. They laughed at their mistakes. They learned from everything. One by one, other species started understanding. The competition wasn't about winning. It was about growing. Alien scientists were studying human children's learning methods. Their problem-solving techniques were being shared across the galaxy. Species that never talked to each other were now working together. The Galactic Confederation's perfect, ordered universe was falling apart, but something more interesting was being built. A new way of thinking was spreading, and humans were just getting started. Years passed. Researchers still tried to understand what happened. How did a small, young species change everything? The old Galactic Confederation was gone. Something new had taken its place, a system where species worked together, where learning mattered more than power. On research stations across the galaxy, scientists studied human records. Not their technology, not their weapons, but something more important. Their stories. Humans had a word: adaptability. It meant something more than just changing. It meant growing, learning, becoming something new. Before humans, most species thought being perfect was the goal. Humans showed that making mistakes was more important. They didn't hide their failures. They celebrated them. Schools on alien worlds started teaching differently. They brought in human learning methods. Children were encouraged to play, to try, to fail, to learn. Technology changed too. Machines became more flexible, more creative, less perfect, but more useful. The first human who started this change was long gone, but their ideas remained. Somewhere, on a small planet called New Terra, a group of children played. Some were human, some were alien. They didn't see differences. They saw possibilities. One child dropped a toy. Another helped pick it up. They laughed together. The galaxy watched and remembered how everything changed.